Hi there. Have you ever overreacted to something and afterwards you realized it wasn't at all what you thought it was? This is such a common experience that we even have an idiom for it. We call it flipping our lids, and it happens to all of us on a regular basis. I was watching the movie Lady Bird the other day, and there were several good examples of this. And you can see some of them in the trailer, which is found on YouTube. So Lady Bird and her mother were driving home from a road trip where they had been looking for colleges. And Lady Bird said to her mother, "I hate California. I want to go east to college." And Lady Bird's mother flipped her lid. She got very upset and accused her daughter of being a snob. She went into a long rant about her daughter's character flaws and the likely poor outcome of her life. And in the middle of this, Lady Bird opened the door of the moving car and jumped out. Hi, I'm Dr. Pamela Hansen, and today I want to talk about why it is we flip our lid, what's behind that in our brains, and start to talk about how we can avoid that going forward to get better results in our lives and our relationships. So today we're going to use the hand model of the brain, which was developed by Dr. Daniel Siegel, a psychiatrist and brain researcher. Now, Dr. Siegel says that based on brain research, we actually may have more than one brain, not just the head brain or the central nervous system, the brain and spinal cord, but also complex groups of neurons in our heart and our gut that can actually perceive and learn and even communicate. But today we're just going to talk about the brain that's in our head. And we're going to use the hand model. So if we think of the arm being the spinal cord, it comes back up into the back of the head, into what's called the brain stem. And this is what might be called the lizard brain or the automatic brain. And this controls automatic functions like breathing, respiration, reproduction, looking for food, and so forth. And lizards don't need much more than this. They don't have to have any relationships. Now, when mammals come along, like humans and other mammals, they need to have relationships. So they need something more than that. They have to rear their children. And so they need an emotional brain, and we can represent that by folding the thumb into the palm. It should be two thumbs, of course, because there's one on both sides of the brain. And that sits on top of the brainstem. It takes the basic information, like about threats, from the physical environment, and combines it with information about the state of relationships and social bonds. Because for mammals, social animals, those are crucial for survival just as much as finding food or running away from predators. So that might be called the squirrel brain. We could call that the emotional brain or the emotional system. And then on top of that, we have the human brain, the cortex or gray matter, which is what you see in textbooks with all the grooves in it. And it wraps around the emotional brain. And the most important part for what we're talking about today is this part, the prefrontal cortex. Prefrontal because it's behind the forehead right in the front. So the purpose of the prefrontal cortex is to take the information that's coming up from the lizard brain, the squirrel brain, and use it to make decisions that will produce good results. And another purpose of that part of the brain is to send messages back down to say, hey, thanks for the information. I got this. We're going to be okay. Now, when that doesn't happen, that's what we call flipping our lids. And we could model this like this. So the adult thinking part of the brain, the prefrontal cortex, is offline, and the emotions and other influences from below are running the show. And that's what happens when we overreact. So we want that prefrontal cortex to wrap down back around the emotional system, the limbic system, maybe even give it a hug and say, hey, I got this. We're going to be okay. So getting back to Lady Bird and her mother, the first thing, the most important thing, is to be able to pause for just a brief moment and choose a different response. Bring that prefrontal cortex, that adult brain, that thinking system back online to take the information from the emotional system, which is actually important information, but not allow it to control things. And in the next video, we're going to talk about a way to tap into the emotions and the information that comes from them and regulate and channel them so that they produce better results in our lives. So that's the hand model of the brain. Thank you for watching, and I hope you'll tune in to learn about how to get in touch with and channel emotions in a productive way. Thank you.